Hello fellow travelers, my name is SG and welcome to the channel. Today we'll be continuing on with Dante's Inferno in Canto 24. Last time we saw Virgil and Dante, they had gone down a slope after being chased by two demons that looked like a frog and a mouse, or a rat it would be, and then meeting the sinners of the hypocrite persuasion, for they are in the lower level of this whole issue. So, with that being said, let's continue on, shall we? In that part of the youthful year, wherein the sun his locks beneath Aquarius tempers, and now the night draw near to half the day. In what time the hoar frost copies on the ground the outward semblance of her sister white, but little lasts the temper of her pen. The husbandman, whose forage faileth him, rises and looks and seeth the champaign all gleaming white, whereat he beats his flank, returns indoors and up and down laments, like a poor wretch who knows not what to do. Then he returns and hope revives again, seeing the world has changed its countenance in little time, and takes his shepherd's crook, and forth the little lambs to pasture drives. Thus did the master fill me with alarm, when I beheld his forehead so disturbed, and to the alignment came as soon as the plaster. For as we came onto the ruined bridge, the leader turned to me with the sweet look which at the mountain's foot I first beheld. His arms he opened after some advisement within himself elected, looking first well at the ruin, and laid hold of me, and even as he who acts and meditates, for it seems that he provides beforehand. So upward lifting me toward the summit of a huge rock, he scanned another crag, saying, "To that one grapples afterwards, and try first if 'tis such that it will hold thee." This was no way for one clothed with a cloak, for hardly he light, and I pushed upward. We were able to ascend from jag to jag, and had to not been that upon from precinct, shorter was the ascent than on the other. He I know not, but I had been dead beat. But because Malabolg towards the mouth of the profoundest well is all inclining, the structure of each valley doth import that one bank rises and the other sinks. Still we arrived at length upon the point wherefrom the last stone breaks itself asunder. The breath was from my lungs so milked away when I was up that I could go no further. Nay, I sat down upon my first arrival. "Now it behooves us to put off sloth," my master said, "for sitting upon down or under quilt, one cometh not to fame, withouten which whoso his life consumes such vestige leveth of himself on earth, as smoke in air or in the water foam. And therefore rise thee up, overcome the anguish, with spirit that overcometh every battle. If with its heavy body it sink not, a longer stairway it behooves thee mount. 'Tis not enough for these to have departed. Let it avail thee if thou understandest me." Then I uprose, showing myself provided better with breath than I did myself, and said, "Go on, for I am strong and bold." Upward we took our way along the crag, which jagged was and narrow and difficult, and more presumptuous far than that before. Speaking I went, not to appear exhausted, whereat a voice from the next mount came forth, not well adapted to architectural words. I know not what it said, though over the back I know was of the arch that passes there, but he seemed more to anger who was speaking. I was bent downward, but my living eyes could not attain the bottom. From the dark were whoever "Master, see that thou arrive as the next round, and let us descend the wall, for as from hence I hear and understand not, so I look down and nothing I distinguish." "Other responses," he said, "I make thee not accept the doing, for the modest asking ought to be followed by the deed in silence." We from the bridge descended at its head, where it connects itself with the eighth bank. And then was manifest to me the Bolgia, and I beheld therein a terrible throng of serpents, and of such a monstrous kind, that the remembrance still congeals my blood. Let Libya boast no longer with her sand, and if Chibni, Jassi, and Fere she breeds with Kenchi, and with Ephesimbiana, neither so many plagues, nor so malignant, ever showed she with all Ethiopia, nor with whatever of the Red Sea is. Among the cruel and most dismal throng, people were running naked and affrighted, without the hope of hole or heliotrope. Then they had their hands, then serpents bound behind them. These riveted upon their reins the tail and head, and were in front of them entwined. And lo, at one who was upon one side, there darted forth a serpent, which transfixed him there where the neck is knotted to the shoulders. Nor, oh, so quickly ever, nor I was written, as he took fire and burned and ash wholly, behooved it that in falling he became. And when he on the ground was thus destroyed, the ashes drew together, and of themselves into himself they instantly returned. Even thus by the great sages 'tis confessed, the phoenix dies and then is born again when it approaches its 500th year. On herb or grain it feeds not in its life, but only by tears and incense and amaman, and nard and myrrh are its last winding sheets. And as he who falls and know not how, by force of demons who to earth down drag him, or other appellation that blinds man, when he arises and around him looks, wholly bewildered by the mighty anguish which he has suffered, and in looking sighs, such was the sinner after he had risen. Justice of God, oh how severe it is, that blows like these in vengeance poureth down. The guide thereafter asked him who he was, and whence he replied, I reigned from Tuscany, a short time since into this cruel gorge. A bestial life, and not a human, pleased me, even as the mule I was. I'm Vani Vusi, beast and Pistoria, as my worthy den. And I unto the guide, tell him to stir not, and ask what crimes has thus him here below. And once a man of blood and wrath I saw him, and the sinner who had heard dissembled now, and on to me directed mind and face, and with melancholy shame was painted. Then said, It pains me more than thou hast caught me, amid this misery where thou seest me, than when I from the other life was taken. What thou demandest I cannot deny, so low am I put down because I robbed the sanctity of the fair ornaments, and falsely once 'twas laid upon another, and that thou mayest not such a sight enjoy, if thou shalt ever be out of the dark places. Thine ears to mine announcement op and hear. Pistoria first of Neri groweth meagre, then Florence doth renew her men and manners. Mars draws a vapor upon from Val di Magria, which is what turbid clouds enveloped around, and with the impetuous and bitter tempest upon Campo Pican shall be the battle, when it shall sudden render the midst asunder, so that each Bianco shall thereby be smitten. And this I've said that it may give thee pain. Alright, now that we've read a chapter, let's talk about it, shall we? We have continued on with Dante and Virgil climbing a mountain. They don't really have much options because this is just where the path has taken them. Dante is of course tired at this point, but Virgil keeps egging him to go forward. When they reach to a certain part where they have made it to a land where it's level and they could walk, they meet the spirits or the souls that are constantly being killed or disintegrated by snakes. They're being pretty much set on fire and burned to ash. But then, after they are burned to ash, they reconstruct and they are back to normal. They still feel the pain and are pretty much not used to it, but pretty much expect what's going to happen. And they meet a soul there who is the one suffering that they're watching. And he is somebody that has stolen from the worthy. He has stolen from people that need it. And he has blamed it on others. He claims that he lived like an animal, and that's something that he doesn't really regret. Much so, that's pretty much why he's being punished here. The only thing he regrets is that Dante and Virgil have seen him like this, and he hates that idea that other people are seeing him in his misery. So he tells them these things that are coming to him. He tells them that he hopes that they kind of reach something good, but then have it taken away. He tells them that they hope something happens in the future that shocks them, because he wishes them pain for seeing his pain in a weird way, I guess you could say. And that's pretty much where it leads off. We'll know what happens to him at the next chapter. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This was an interesting one. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, or if you have a different opinion on what happened here, please leave it down below. I'd really like to hear it. Thanks again for listening, and I hope to see you all again next time.